Welcome to TutorLyft's parenting series, featuring insights from leading experts in parenting and education. My name is Omar Andani, and I'm the founder of TutorLyft. Today, we're joined by Paul Davis, a renowned expert in internet safety and cybersecurity. With decades of experience, Paul has dedicated his career to educating teachers, parents, and students about the risks and responsibilities associated with digital technology. His workshops and seminars have educated and empowered hundreds of thousands across North America to navigate the online world more safely. Paul's practical advice and deep understanding of digital privacy issues are crucial for anyone looking to protect their family's online safety. Please join me in welcoming Paul Davis in a conversation that promises to be both educational and essential for today's digital world.
When I get asked that question, it's interesting because it was completely a fateful question that was asked by the principal of my daughter's school. So I've been in IT and cyber now for the past 33 years of my life. And almost 13 years ago now, my daughter's school, the principal asked me a question as to why kids get in trouble using technology. I responded to him by saying because parents give their kids too much technology at a young age. So he asked me as a favor, could you put something together and keep them safe? And I agreed to do that. But doing one favor literally changed my life forever. Because of that favor, I've now spoken in person to 860,000 students in 6 provinces and 5 states, 95,000 more virtually, along with law enforcement in Canada. And now it even goes to a corporate level for privacy and security. So it was a fateful conversation that just led to something I was never expecting. When I'm educating grade 4, 5, 6s, and grade 4s have $1,000 phones, they're on social media, they're in their bedrooms by themselves, using all that, called too much too soon. There's a time and a place for technology. I bleed tech, it's in my DNA. When I speak to grade 4, 5, 6s, that's the youngest I will speak to, but the more intense one are grade 7 to 12. It's about respecting the rules of tech. Social media is 13. Do you need a $1,000 phone in grade 4? No. You need technology that might assist you with education, not a distraction. So my recommendation has always been middle to end of grade 8 for a phone, social media, minimum 13, the terms of service. But if you and I are friends, we can debate that can be 14, 15, 16. I have to go by the terms of service. When you give them too much access at a young age is when they will explore. They'll be subjected to inappropriate content, bullying, harassment, threats, discrimination, racism, you name it. They will see it. Not might see it, they will see it. And therein lies a concern on how kids get hurt. So my objective with younger kids is to make sure that they're never hurt. And that's where parents have to rein it back in and say, look, you know what? I wasn't really thinking. I know this can be some amazing technology, but your age right now, you should be outside playing, friends. Or if I give you technology, I want you making websites, creating podcasts. I want you to get into coding, app development, and get into educational apps. That's where I focus my attention after I tell kids what they have to stop doing. Because I bleed tech, and there is amazing opportunities for our kids if they're using technology properly, guided at a right age. The primary message for those guys is you need to talk to your parents about getting yourself off social media. We need to get technology out of your bedroom. And what we're going to do is refocus your efforts. We're going to focus you guys on making websites, creating podcasts, making apps, making games, creating puzzles, using educational apps. You need to practice your typing, learn a new language. There's so many things they can be doing on the educational side. But when you consider a child has a phone at a young age and they don't even know how a picture is made up, which I explained to them, how a digital trail works, which I explained to them, they don't understand that pushing buttons leads to certain things. So we need to make sure they're pushing the right buttons that make sure they're safe along with being positive. We're not going to get into the technicality of digital trails, but in the grade 7 to 12 presentation, the one thing I speak to them about is what a digital trail is. Everyone knows what a digital footprint is. What you've done online is permanent, real, searchable. A digital trail I share with them is how it gets out there. And that's how the police investigate everything we do online. In fact, when I educate law enforcement, I give them upwards of 40 examples on how to identify everything about a person when it comes to how to use technology, connections to Wi-Fi networks, cellular towers, all that stuff. When I define trails to older kids, because the younger ones are far too young to understand it, the whole messaging is that stop saying things like, I didn't mean to do it. It was an accident. It was a mistake. It was a lapse of judgment. I always say to them, technology doesn't lie. Humans lie. And humans instruct technology as to what to do. So when I define how all these trails work, I'm basically saying, please defy that. Because what you did led to that footprint. And I just proved it to you. So you make choices in life. The objective is to make good choices. Because when you make a poor choice, you can't now say after I leave your school that I wasn't thinking. You were. That was just a joke. It wasn't. I raised their level of responsibility for their actions each and every day. So all the studies in North America as to what the right amount of screen time is actually inconclusive. So my message to parents, especially with teenagers, is what are they doing on the screen? If I'm talking to a parent in grade 4 to 8, my message is you need to divide up screen time where it's a component of education, a component of consumption, and a component of creation. Education is logical. Consumption, play games, watch TV. I believe kids should be kids and doing that. But then they need to give back a little bit where they're starting to create now, back to coding, blogging, podcasting, all that stuff, because that's really good stuff. And when you break up that screen time, only one of the three is consuming, the other is learning and creating. Screen time doesn't have to be negative. As they get older, it's managing. Are they spending time developing and enhancing their education, or are they being zombies? Now, what do I mean by that? Get on a phone and that finger just keeps flicking up, and that's called mindless screen time. We need it to be productive screen time. So if they're playing a game, let's say you and I are playing FIFA. I know you know me, we're playing. I'm not going to go and jump on FIFA and play with a complete stranger from halfway around the world because things get out of hand. So when they play with their real friends for a limited amount of time every day, that is productive. Overconsumption leads to addiction, which I'm not going to speak about because I'm not the expert in that. Have I been told gaming addiction is a thing by the experts? Yes. Do I personally subscribe to it? No, because I believe that if you have a certain amount of time of screen every day for gaming, it's impossible to become addicted. So if you give your child 30 minutes of, let's say, Xbox every day, there is no data to tell you that someone on Xbox for 30 minutes every day has ever become addicted to a game. 5-6 hours a day, go and look up the data. So in limited quantity, we can actually make screen time a positive, not a negative. But when you look at overconsumption, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, it becomes problematic. Parenting today is as challenging as parenting was back for Gen Xers. The difference is that now there's more of an environment where they have to learn something that they weren't brought up in. So the challenges are pretty much the same. They're complicated by the lack of understanding of what their children are investing their time in. So my recommendation has always been, especially grade 7, 8, 9, 10, never be afraid to sit down with your kid and talk about, hey, talk to me about what's interesting in terms of the apps you're using. What are people on? What are they posting? Why are they using that app? Kids love talking and they don't mind sharing this stuff with parents because that's a form of education. Kids who are secretive are the ones who traditionally get into the most trouble. But kids who have that rapport, that relationship with their parents, they'll talk to them. Yeah, listen, I downloaded this new app. It's called TikTok, and here's what it does. Okay, now parents need to go one step further. You're not just going to take what your child told you. You do some serious homework. I always look at reviews of the product, privacy issues, communication issues, content issues, and then come up with it. Okay, you know what? You're 15. I think as much as I may not be happy about that, you're 15, you can probably process it. Now, for example, on a platform like TikTok, if my child came to me at 13, no way, no how. It's not a platform for 13-year-olds, although it states you must be 13 because I understand the social media platforms. I live in them. And so when I see certain content, I can say to parents 15 years of age and older, not 13, although 13 is the terms of service, but I study it. I just need parents to understand it and then ask questions. I get the followers on my Facebook page. I get all kinds of questions. And I always say there's never a bad question. There's never a dumb question. Because if it solves someone's situation in their home, that's the best question ever. So I always say, never be afraid to ask questions. Ask your kid, engage them, but then go and do some homework. When you're sitting bored, when you're driving, and you're as a family in a car, yeah, you should be talking, but let's say it's a long trip, pick up that device and research something. Look it up. Ask questions. Join Facebook groups of equally minded people, because Facebook is still the predominant social media platform out there. And never be afraid to ask questions. And I always say that to parents, don't be afraid. There's no bad question. If I have to answer that simplistically, there could be, because I think sometimes we need downtime where we really don't want to process the real world, and mindless scrolling could be an escape. But my recommendation is at a limit of 15 minutes on a platform. So on Instagram, for example, I've implemented daily time limit. When I hit 15 minutes of Instagram, a notification comes up. Time to close Instagram. Now, you can say, thank you, I'll continue doing it, but I'm disciplined to take myself off Instagram and say to myself, I'm done for the day. If you find you can't adhere to that discipline, you fall into this trap of mindless scrolling, which now becomes, depending on the platform you're using, you could be going down a rabbit hole. So I use TikTok as one of the platforms that if you spend too much time on there focusing on a certain subject matter, you get deeper into that subject matter. And what I notice is that because of the algorithm, I think TikTok happens to be one of the most amazing platforms for understanding the user, not in a positive way. When I say amazing, technologically. And if you are going down a certain rabbit hole, the division that it can cause between you and another person with the opposite view can be very divisive. So I have multiple TikTok accounts. One of the ones I'll share with you, one follows the political views of the Liberal Party in Canada. One follows the political views of the Conservative Party in Canada. You just keep going deeper and deeper down those views. But what I noticed that you're really made to dislike the opposite views. And so if you spend more time on there, you really get entrenched into that potential ideology. So I always say 15 minutes, give it up, refresh your brain, do something else. Spending too much time going down there really takes you sometimes into a dark place. And you start questioning a lot of things when you get going down path of conspiracy theories and all that. But a limited amount of time to process and then try and counter it with an opposite position can actually be very healthy. So that's why I always say 15 minutes and then do something else with your life and turn it off. The way it affects digital safety is misinformation, disinformation. There's some great AI out there that can convince a lot of people that what is being communicated is factual. And the reality is it's not. I remember watching a hacker clone his voice and then get into his own bank account using his cloned voice. And he said, all right, I guess I hacked my own account. And it was pretty simple. That's my primary concern. I also, when people say, what keeps you up at night, figuratively, of course, is the rapid advancement of AI. I think AI has tremendous upside. Whether you like him or not, Elon has a point, which is we need to slow it down a little bit. We need to put some regulation in place. And I don't want to say government regulation, but some regulation in place that really allows us to control the rapid advances of it, because the potential for it could be disastrous. I think there's a lot of great upside to it. But if we're not understanding it, if we're not regulating it to a certain degree, it can get out of control. And I've seen on the very dark side, the manipulation of people's images, what are called deep fakes, have ruined people's lives. And I find that disturbing because innocent people are being put at risk. So although there's tremendous upside, there's tremendous risk as well. And I think education is incredibly important. One thing I tell parents is you should read your child's body language on a daily basis. The best place to do that, breakfast, lunch, dinner, put your phones away. We should never have phones at a table anyways. And read their body language. Have you noticed a change in their behavior? Have they lost their appetite? Are they shrugging their shoulders? Are they staring at the ceiling? There's so many easy ways to pick up that something's wrong. And then the next step is to say, hey, is there something up? Can we talk about it? And you're not going to have the answer if you're a parent listening. But if you can identify there's a concern, and then you have the ability to go and find them the answer, which you absolutely do through many resources, that's the way to figure out if something's going on in their lives. But if we're always mindless in our own devices, we might not see something sitting right in front of us, which could have been identified if we simply had a conversation, paid attention to the child. So let's say your child is being victimized. My number one message to students is that you will not respond to anyone who threatens, attacks, harasses you. Remember, their objective is to trigger you and really get you upset. If you respond, you get wrapped up in the problem. Harder to defend if you're going to threaten somebody else. So what I tell kids to do is I want you to outsmart them, print out every picture, post, comment, chat session, screenshot. I want you to gather all the evidence that's hurt you. And the most important thing you will do is that you will report that to a parent, teacher, principal, someone you trust, and you will ask for help. I tell them the responsibility of every adult at the school is to be there to guide and protect you, our kids. But I also tell them if you don't speak out, we can't help you. And if you don't speak out, it'll affect sleep, appetite, schoolwork, friendships, and family. And if you don't speak out, the bully gets away with it. Here's the problem we have. Kids are afraid to speak out because of snitch culture. They're afraid of being called a snitch and the ramifications that might be associated with that, which I think is embarrassing nowadays. The reason bullies are successful is because people are afraid to speak out. And they're afraid that if they speak out, there'll be further consequence. That's why bullies are successful. There has to be a consequence to an action. So my message, which is pretty much every day when I speak to grade 7s and older, I say, look, during anti-bullying week, what do we do? We come to school and we make posters, we sign pledges, we wear colors. Okay. I support those under one condition. Use your voice. Because if you don't, all you did for a week, you came to school and you made posters and you signed pledges and you wore colors. Okay. And then Monday morning, you totally forgot what happened last week. But your voice works every single day. And so that should be utilized. So now the gestures during anti-bullying week can be honored throughout the year by using a voice. So a gesture combined with a voice equal actions equal consequence. Our kids must be empowered to speak out. So I empower kids to speak out. I let them know, bring us evidence. You'll be supported. On the flip side, if your child is the mean kid, what I do with grade 7s to 12s is I introduce them to the Criminal Code of Canada. And I remind them that the day you turn 12, you're criminally chargeable by law. Now, I don't recite the whole criminal code because I don't believe in threatening with that. But I know that they have to be aware that it exists. I cannot be in denial or say, I'm going to shelter you from it. No, you need to know suspensions are real, expulsions are real, the criminal charge is real. I know police officers who lay charges on 12-year-olds because of what they've done. So I tell them, here are the most common things, but don't worry about that because if you guys love, care, and respect each other, everything I've said is meaningless in your life. But people that are going to be mean, threatening, hurtful, they've got a lot to deal with. And then I tell them, you know what you just did? It was done on a device that's owned by your parents. Now you draw your parents into this because they'll be questioned as to why the device they own conducted a certain way online. That gets their eyes open because they know that when I try and instill that you guys love, care, and respect your parents and guardians, right? So remember that your actions on a phone that's owned by them, you don't own a phone. It's on loan to you. That a police investigation can start off with them before it leads down to you. So the objective in this messaging is be kind, loving, and respectful. We'll have no issues. If you're attacked, evidence and report. And if you're being the mean kid, sorry, suspensions, expulsions, criminal charges are all potentially there for you. So it's very balanced in terms of delivering it. But the objective is obviously we don't want any of this to impact you guys, but you need to know the truth. When it comes to the use of technology, there's a time and a place. In elementary school, give them the gift of a Chromebook. I'm not saying I'm a fan of Chromebooks, I'm actually not, but it's affordable. It gets the job done. It helps assist in education. The smartphone is the distraction in elementary school. We need to remove that out of elementary school until high school. Focus on the technology that will empower them. Once you empower them with technology, you will not allow them to be on social media until at very least 13. You will not permit any form of technology in your kids' bedrooms. Computers, iPods, iPads, tablets do not belong in any child's bedroom, period. And when you are considering the smartphone, think about end of grade 8, beginning of high school, and give your kids a fair shot at getting a gift of education versus too much, too soon, distractions in the classroom, bullying at a young age. One of the messages I ask parents is, what is the goal in having your child be subjected right now to the 2 major atrocities occurring around the world that are publicized? There's even more. Being subjected to racism, violence, vulgarity, hypersexualization. What is the rush to get them on there? So when I say it's okay to delay, it absolutely is. And I want parents to always remember this. Don't feel guilty about the decisions you've made for your child in your home. It's the right decision because you know that if you keep saying yes to everything they ask for, when they fall into that trap, now you will feel guilty because it could have been prevented, but you've allowed it. And so never be afraid to say no. They're your child. They will respect it. And I was actually having a conversation 2 days ago with an individual when we talked about when we were growing up, how we didn't like some decisions our parents made. And I remember sharing with this individual that years later, after not liking one of my parents for making a certain decision, I remember as an adult, young adult, thanking them because they saw what I didn't. And if they didn't see it, I could have been in a ton of trouble during a particular time when they said, no, you're not going to this function and here's why. Now, I was angry. I was upset. That's what kids are allowed to be angry and upset with you. They're not going to follow your choices. So my analogy in that is they will appreciate it later on. They're not going to be happy with you right now. Get over it. That's called parenting. We're not their friends. We're their parent. Having said that, they will appreciate it later on. And you'll get that hug at some point saying, all right, I get it. Thank you. And you know what? That's parenting.